Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Monday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and it is icy and rainy and yucky again here in Pennsylvania, but the weather in Florida is just beautiful. We are 6 days away from the first spring training game, which will be Saturday afternoon. I am excited. This will probably be the only video I'm going to be able to record this week. I'm going to be out of town, but wanted to get something recorded. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I'll do my best for the next couple of minutes on a rainy, cold Monday. So in thinking about what it is I'm going to talk about today, with spring training just around the corner, I guess the thing I want to talk about are some positional battles heading into the start of spring training games and heading into the opening day roster being built. And there really aren't many positional battles. When I did the overview of the team and the roster and who plays where, and more importantly who plays everywhere, because there's so many of those guys on the team right now, there just aren't that many positional battles. But I will talk about two pretty open ones right now. Or not open, I guess clear would be more realistic. And the first one, of course, is first base. So there is a positional battle at first base, and I'm not including Peter Alonso in that, because no matter how well he does in spring training, I honestly cannot foresee a scenario that has him on the major league roster on opening day, forfeiting his the extra year of team control. I cannot see the Mets and the Wilpons doing that with Alonso. I think that they view him as a long-term piece, a long-term asset, and they are going to want to have him under team control for as long as humanly possible. So the positional battle really is going to be between Todd Frazier and Dominic Smith on for opening day. And I think it'll be interesting to see Frazier get pushed a little bit. Last year he was clearly the starting third baseman. He didn't have very much pressure throughout the season to perform and hold on to his spot. And I'm not suggesting that Frazier needs that as a veteran of his age, but it can't hurt to have someone breathing down your neck to sort of force a stronger performance. And that's where I believe Todd Frazier is going to be pushed this spring, and it might actually make him come out firing on all cylinders as opposed to sort of gradually easing in. As far as Dom Smith goes, he really is a man without a country on this Mets team. And it seems that it's been that way with Dom from the beginning. I don't know that he's ever really had a comfortable place to be on this team. Barring injury, he was in AAA. And anytime he needed to come up and fill in, he would play first base, until last year, of course, when the left field experiment began. And I don't think anyone is going to be putting Dom Smith in left field by choice anytime soon. But the real question is, where does Dom Smith fit with the Mets? And I think the answer is he doesn't. He really does not fit. And in a perfect world, what would be awesome is if Dom Smith comes into camp, has an excellent spring, isn't late, and doesn't get himself suspended, and then injured, and then missing a whole bunch of games in the spring. But if Dom Smith comes in and has a stellar camp, earns the starting first baseman job heading into opening day, plays well for the better part of a month, and becomes a trade chip that's available to be moved at the deadline, because he is going to have to go back down to AAA once Alonso is promoted. Assuming that happens. So Dom's going to have to be in AAA at some point in the season, but if he proves that he can be a regular first baseman for some other team, it might just well be that the Mets are able to move him and turn him into a different kind of asset, which would be awesome. It'd be good for Dom because he can get to a team where he will have a path to play, and it'll be good for the Mets so they can turn that former first-round pick into something that's going to help the big league club. So beyond first base, the other competition is in the outfield, but that's for center field, and that's got an asterisk next to it as well, because the positional battle there would be between Keon Broxton and Juan Lagares, both of whom are defensive specialists, and Broxton has the prettier offensive upside in terms of his potential and power ability, And he also has a 20 home run, 20 stolen base season on his resume, which Lagares does not. But the reason this is sort of a moot point having this discussion is that if Jeff McNeil is able to play left field, we're not going to have this conversation about whether it's going to be Lagares or Broxton in center field. It's going to end up being which one of those two guys is the late inning replacement for for McNeil when Conforto slides over to left field and McNeil comes out of the game and either Broxton or Lagares come in at center. It'll be an interesting positional battle to watch, but I expect McNeil to take to the outfield. I just get the sense that he's the kind of guy who's going to play anywhere okay, and his bat plays, and that's it. I mean, that means we're going to see Conforto in center field, and McNeil in left, and it means that Lagares and Broxton are going to be on the outside looking in, and I guess their positional battle is going to be more for the bench than anything else. I left out J.D. Davis, and I don't know if I did it on purpose or not, but I was talking to my friend Mike, actually we were texting, and Mike made a good point, and I kind of agreed with him, and he sort of said, I think J.D. Davis is going to be a big player for the Mets. And I get the sense, and I keep leaving him out of everything, but I do get the sense that J.D. Davis is going to have a good season for the Mets, whether it's with the Major League club or in AAA, or on the bench, whatever. But I just have a good feeling about him, and I did leave him out of the first base conversation. I don't think he's a first baseman. I think he's a third baseman, and I suppose you could look at him as a potential challenger for Todd Frazier as well, but the reality is Jed Lowry's going to play third base, and again, moot point, kind of like the Lagares-Broxton conversation. Speaking of depth, it's worth noting also that the Mets signed Adeiny Hechavarria yesterday to a minor league contract with a spring training invite. Another good depth signing. Hechavarria is a utility infielder type, but he's a real good defender, and it's good to have guys like that on the roster, even if they end up just filling a spot in AAA and being called up to play defense, or to play in light of an injury or something like that. So. That's going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate your watching the video, as I always do. Hopefully it's not rainy and snowy and icy the next time I record, which I don't know when it's going to be, but I will try to get a video in before the end of this week, heading into spring training opening day. So until then, follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And as always, let's go Mets.